Welcome to today's trade recap. Today is July 21st, 2026. This is the trade I took for a 2.87R, leaving me to make $804.02, totaling to $4,021 across all 5 of my accounts. So let's get into it. Now, coming into the day open, I am more looking for some kind of sell. We have a reaction out of a daily volume imbalance right up here, which caused us to displace lower, breaking down to be bearish on every single time frame. So I am looking for some kind of sell. As you can see on the 1 hour, bearish, 4 hour, clearly bearish. So I'm looking for some kind of sell. So we're reacting out of this 30-minute gap right up here during New York PM. Now, the only gaps for me to short would be this 30-minute right here, or we end up making a 30-minute, or on the 1 hour, we have a tiny 1 hour or a tiny 1 hour right here. So as we open, we end up making a bearish 30-minute to the downside while sweeping out these lows, but failing to close below them. And at the same time, ES makes equal lows with the low all the way down here. So I'm not really looking for, I'm kind of split now. I don't know if I should long, I don't know if I should short. So I'm going to wait and see till, see what the market shows me. And we immediately blow right past this 30-minute gap in one candle, flying up, giving us a change in the state, inversion, market structure shift, whatever you want to call it right here, showing us the 30-minute has now flipped bullish. So my time frames are out of sync. I don't know what I should be doing. Maybe longs, maybe we'll re-break this, close below here, and I'll look for shorts, so I'm going to wait. And we end up making a bullish 30-minute gap while creating these equal lows. So, once again, I still don't know if we're going to be bullish, and we have this bullish 30-minute gap. So I wait for us to respect it very clearly, and at the same time tapping into these bearish 1 hours from our downtrend earlier. Now, I like this 30-minute being respected, so to me, this would show me that we would then continue higher to the next objectives. And on the 1 hour, we end up creating a 1 hour gap with a volume imbalance at the same time. Now, you would combine both of these because it becomes one big gap, because this volume imbalance could be a gap to take us higher as well. So you could use this to look for a setup. So we actually did get a setup out of this. We end up tapping it by like 2 ticks. We get our market structure shift, and we would get an entry to then take to the next objective high after these bearish gaps fail, which would be, I believe, New York PM or lunch with New York PM. So you take this up to New York PM right up here, and it plays out very nice, very clean, zero time in red, super clean setup. I missed this. I just wasn't looking at the chart when it happened. I think I looked, we were like around here. I just didn't want to enter and get a bad entry on that. So I decided to, I'll wait till we close above these highs right over here to then look for any kind of setup to, lunch high or New York AM high or the bearish daily gap, which was my target overall. So we come down onto the 30-minute. We end up making these 30-minute gaps right here, closing above PM high, showing me we want to go higher. We end up tapping these gaps right here. While doing this, we also make a 1 hour gap, so we get this clean, very clean 1 hour tap right here. Let's label this bullish for value gap. We tap into that, and once we finally get our market structure shift right here, this runs very clean to lunch high. We get a very clear accumulation, manipulation, then distribution right here. And I, once again, was looking to take this, ended up not taking it, so I then go back on the higher time frames and wait for any kind of close above the high we just put in to show us we want to go higher, and we get that on the 30-minute and the 1 hour. So we then pull into this 1 hour gap, this 1 hour volume imbalance right here, at the same time pulling into 2 30-minute gaps. So I'm then dropping down to the lower time frames, looking for some kind of market structure shift, showing we're then going to continue higher. So once we drop down to the 1 minute, we get a very clear resweep right here with a V-shaped recovery, inversion, fair value gap, change in the state, the whole shebang. Take this, enter right there, right after we close above this swing high, and we can then expect to distribute to the next high which would be New York AM high before the daily. So play this out, and it does take a little bit of time. We do chop in red. We do get very close to my stop loss. This wasn't an SMT, but in a market structure shift model, you can expect to resweep this, put in a low, and then continue to go higher, which is exactly what we did. We take out New York AM high, and my overarching target being the daily for value gap does end up getting hit during New York AM later on in the day, but I'll take my piece of the pie for 2.87R trade. And yeah, this ends up taking a while, but it does end up getting hit. So but yeah, other than that, this trade I took today, very simple to understand, not too hard. Lots of setups. I would say mine was the safest setup after showing we're respecting numerous high time frame gaps, showing we want to be bullish. So, but for me, I had to wait for the sponsored gaps to come out of this 30-minute being respected, showing we're going to keep holding and then closing above these. But very clear day, and then as you can see right there, we end up taking out daily for value gap. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. Other than that, like and subscribe, and have a great day.